Tendai Mwari. I think we've gone beyond the question now. I think we've established a fact. Brothers and sisters, we have to be very careful that we're not conducting this discussion as though we have absolute proof that these young men did carry out that act of murder. We don't know that as we sit here, and as African people, we should be slow to run to judgment. I seem to remember a case called the Cardiff 3, where one of the Africans arrested for the murder of this white prostitute was tortured. You could almost call it tortured. He was subjected to hours. I think it was something like some hundreds of hours of constant interrogation from the police, and eventually they forced a confession out of him. It transpired that the 3 men that were arrested and charged and convicted for the murder, it turned out that they were not the murderers, and the murderer was a white man. You all with me? So we can't speak as though we know. We don't know, and we should be interrogating. Yes, what we know is that the images that we've seen and some of the issues that Minister Hillary Mohammed has raise more questions than they answer. Right or wrong? One more thing for the moment. Recently, we've been scoring some victories against the police and against the British government for its slaughter of our African men, and for the failure of the police to properly investigate and bring certain murderers to justice. We had Stephen Lawrence. The Stephen Lawrence, 2 of the murderers who were convicted last year, exposed once again police corruption and police racism. Is that right? Didn't work well for the police. Come April this year, it was the 20th anniversary of the killing of Stephen Lawrence, and there was a memorial ceremony. The establishment were that concerned that the Prime Minister and leader of the opposition and leader of the, what do you call it? The Deputy Prime Minister, who is also leader of the Lib Dem, Nick Clegg, attended the memorial service. That means they're deeply concerned about the implication of the Stephen Lawrence trial for the image of the police and the image of the British establishment. They're trying to preserve the image of the British establishment. And then shortly after that, we heard of the police officers involved in the killing of Sean Rigg, being arrested for perjury and perverting the courts of justice. And there's been a number of incidents of police officers concerning a number of African men who have been killed at the hands of the police, being arrested or under scrutiny for perverting the course of justice, including those who were involved in investigating the so-called Cardiff murder. They were also arrested for perverting the course of justice and perjury. And then what happened? The case collapsed. This was last year. The case collapsed because they said the evidence was destroyed. Okay? So lots of licks for the police. The image of the police is now in tatters.
That's right.
Are you with me, brothers and sisters? The establishment is being called in serious question for its vicious assault on African men.
Yes, sir.
Does that begin to answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
I'll leave it there for the moment.